Hello, this is the Huawei Pura X. I've had this phone for about almost 8 months now, so I think this is a good time to do a bit of a review. I've used this phone in China, Japan and Australia, and depending on where you are, it does change the way this phone acts, which is what I will get into. So what is this phone? This is the Huawei Pura X, and Huawei is no stranger to flip phones. So when I saw this, when I was browsing on Taobao, initially looking for iPhone mini case, I saw this case and I thought it was a Nintendo. So I happened to be in China at this time when I was browsing. This phone came out in March and I was there in April, May. So relatively new when I saw it. However, there wasn't a lot of information about this phone in West media, which piqued my interest more in deep diving into this phone. So bi-weekly visits, I went to the Huawei store just to have a feel of this phone to see would I want to get it, because initially in February I was looking at the Samsung Flip, but from reviews and my friends saying it's not good, I just dropped it and continued using my iPhone mini. But when I saw this phone, this was the flip phone of my dreams, and here's why. One of the key things was the battery life. It is a 4720 mAh, which compared to what's on the market is pretty substantial. So far, I don't need to charge my phone every day. Maybe I'll use it for the whole day and then the next morning I'll charge it for a bit. But it does vary, of course, on the phone usage, which also has differed because I don't use the lock screen interface as much now that I'm out of China. Cool thing about this phone, it has 3 exterior cameras, being the macro, super lens, and wide. Wide, 1, 2, 3.5, 5. And also the interior one, which is right here. This is the front camera on wide. The functionality of this is pretty good. For example, you can take photos like selfie mode, but you're using exterior camera, so the quality of it will be higher. Close front cam on wide.
What was it called again?
On 1, on 2. Damn. I'm not wearing makeup. In addition to that, there is a cool function like when you take a photo, there is dual mode. When I'm taking a video, photo, anything, there will be like a viewfind here when it uses the exterior camera. Does that make sense? Oh, that's an emoji. But there's a lot of fun functions that even I haven't fully dove in yet. This is really cute. And I'll be able to see what's going on. So that's a really cool function that this phone has. So cool for photos, selfies, videos, and all that. So I got mine in a white with the glossy finish. It also comes in the gray and black, and also there is a collector's edition which uses faux leather, like a lime yellow and a red. One of the main factors of this phone obviously is the fold. I personally don't like that big of a bulky phone, so my previous phone was a iPhone mini. I find that fits perfectly in my hands. Samsung Galaxy Notes, Samsung Galaxies, which were okay but still on the bigger end. Obviously the dimensions of this phone is very different to what's on the market. As you can see, the aspect ratio is a lot wider. It's like a mini Kindle, and on that note, it's very fun to read off this, such as when I'm on Substack, just like reading articles. It is very pleasant to read on here. They have a inbuilt sort of reading app in this phone. I don't know if it scans your eyes, but it sort of is on auto scroll depending on what you look at the screen. I personally don't use it because it is a Chinese app and I am not very literate in Chinese to read these Chinese books. Because it is a foldable phone, a lot of questions would be like the fold line. It is very seamless. When I watch videos, I can't even see that it's there when I'm reading my articles. It's pretty much feels like it's not existing, but I don't have that much to compare to. This is more my own experience. So they also have face recognition and also fingerprint on the side. But here you can change it as well. This is a very cute dog that came with the phone. You play around with it. Oh, this is also a widget that I added. It's a new feature I saw. You can play games on here. So issue with this, a lot of the things that I want to use, like games, you need to authenticate your age because they are quite strict with who can play games. You have to be above a certain age. This runs really smoothly even though it's in a container app as well. So this is also a little tour of my lock screen. It's very simple. I have the calculator, notes, all these logos is a part of the theme, so it is quite different to maybe what you might see online on other people's phones and reviews. I like to fit everything on one page so easily reached. And second is just, you know, the weather room app, the fitness app. I've not moved today as you can tell. And just a quick little to-do list when I need to add. And you can also add extras here that are already on here. So these are all things that aren't added already. So one of the main things about this phone is its usability in China and outside of China. When I was buying this phone, I was too hyped up about getting this phone. I didn't think too much into about what it was going to be like using it outside of China. There are workarounds to get sort of Western apps like Instagram, YouTube. It is obtainable through a container app called Easy Abroad that works through Google Play Store. So all these apps you're able to get. All the apps you download through Easy Abroad is sort of stuck in a file. You cannot move it out. So when you have a lot of apps, it is kind of tricky having to access it through the file. But it's not too bad because the file is expandable. So it is still accessible, sort of clicking through the folder without opening it, if that makes sense. So this is a house sitting app that I use. If I type in MadPause here, it doesn't come up. However, another way for me to find apps is just to open Google Chrome, type in MadPause, Google Play, don't mind that typo, Google Play, and I usually click install, which opens in the Google Play, and then redirects it on the abroad. But other than that, the biggest thing that I loved about this phone was just being able to just have it functional while folded. Whereas I feel like a lot of other foldable phones, it's just sort of home screen. You can just do a little bit this, a little bit of that. But this phone is fully functional while folded. My experience with this phone was I was using in China for the first month when I got it, and bliss. I was able to experience this phone to its full extent, I believe. Such as everyday life. Let me walk you through it. So, daily life of China, I'll be using Alipay to pay for things, using it to scan for bikes, for buses, transportation, to pay for things. It's like a little barcode that's just up here, so I can just boop, scan it. Because a lot of kiosks, they'll sort of have like a scanner ready, and you can just like hover over it. Same with the metro, a QR code will show, and you can just scan through it. Same as like renting a bike, you have to scan a QR code, but because the camera is here, you can still scan it directly. So very handy, and it's folded. WeChat, it's sort of China's social media, has everything. It has a lot of inbuilt mini apps. So a lot of times we go out shopping, like the royalty cards are sort of already inside WeChat. You don't need to get any external apps. You can just, same function, like here, has a barcode ready to scan. You want to pay, same thing. You can just scan it at like shops, kiosks, very easy. Even with messaging, I can just be typing away. One of the other things is, you know, when I'm navigating through cities, maps. I can't really use Google Maps on this phone while it's folded. So it's a bit awkward, just like with a giant, with full-size phone, just having Google Maps out, just like navigating around. It's doable, but it wasn't the reason why I wanted this phone, because it's like so big. The reason why I wanted was like the compactness. It's the scrolly stuff. So when I'm like on the train or just hanging out, I can just I'm still able to scroll while it's folded, and I think that's just really convenient. I'm able to hold it in one hand. However, when you do open the phone up and you're like typing away, and you know, sometimes it gets a bit too big, there are settings in here that you can sort of shift the keyboard onto one side, so it's easy to just tap with one hand. There was a function that sort of minimizes the screen, so it's less big, just so you can still use everything with one hand. So these are all really cool functions that I thoroughly enjoy with this phone. Other things such as the UI experience of just charging, it's just like really nice animation. Even though it's small things, it's really nice. Other cool things, especially it being like a Chinese phone, while I was overseas, there were a lot of things I wasn't able to read. So there was a cool function on the phone where you use two hands to hold it, which does like a scan of the screen and you can translate it, as opposed to taking so many screenshots, uploading onto your translator, and then just having all these screenshots laying around, which is what I experienced previously while I was overseas with my iPhone. So that's another cool little thing that they have. There are frequent updates that I feel like most people think it's a bit annoying, especially the big ones, but I feel like they have a lot of small updates, maybe once a month, every 2 months. There's a bit of an update that fixes bugs, and my previous update that I had, it was like noticeable different more in the UI. Like you can see small graphic changes on the interface. The thing I mentioned earlier was just like holding the screen and scanning. They sort of changed their interface, so it was sort of just more fluid, more glass-like even. So not major factors, but just these small little things that I added sort of add to the experience of this phone. So other little knickknacks of this phone, it runs on its own native system, which is Harmony OS. It does have deepseek integrated into it through its assist, which is Cecilia. Cecilia and we sort of bump heads a lot because she doesn't always listen to me. Could be I'm speaking to it in English instead of Chinese, and my Chinese is also not the best when I try to ask her what the weather is. Respond in English.
Today's weather in Beijing is sunny turning to cloudy.
Other than that, it's cool having deepseek integrated in. Not really, I don't really use it that much. So all in all, this phone is great, but now that I bought it outside of China, I feel like it's not reaching its full potential of the reason why I got this phone. It's still very usable, but there are some bugs here and there because of like the container of getting the apps through Google Play, such as not getting notifications, which is a bit of a hassle. And for a phone, I feel like it's a big thing. But because of that, I'm not on my phone as much because I don't see notifications. So I think that's okay. Even though you can run it through the container to get apps, you can't really get any apps that you want. Usually with Android, you can sort of go around with the APKs, but the security on this, I can't break through it, which I guess is a good thing, because I think that's the new Harmony OS, but I'm not too sure. So you're thinking about getting this phone, I think it's still worth it, but unless you're in China and able to use it to its like full capacity of it being a folded phone, then go for it. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this review. I hope to do more in the future. Yeah.